So now what we can do is go ahead and find a way to actually show the albums in a nice format that people can understand and people can see. So let's go ahead and create another album. And you'll notice that after we've created this album, it's going to redirect us back to albums.php. So holiday, some, holiday, photos. Click create. It's taken us straight back to albums, and we can list our albums. Now let's go ahead and actually not just display out the album name, but display out some other data as well. So the first thing we want to do is echo out this in paragraph tags. We also then want to make the album title a hyperlink. So in here would go the title, so we can just say album name, and in here will go the link to view the album, and this is view_album.php, and then we have an ID that we need to pass as a get variable. So hopefully you've looked at get variables. Probably you should have if you're watching this tutorial, because it's quite a useful concept, and that will be album ID is equal to, and then we can create an album ID or display the album ID. So that's album ID, and remember we referenced that as well just here. We inserted that as a key. So now that we've done that, we can go ahead and break down. Let's just tidy this up, perhaps make it look a bit nicer. There, that'll do. Okay, so what we want to display now is the album description. In actual fact, no, we want to display the account after here. So the count, the amount of images. So we can just say images there. And here we want to display the number of images, and we pass this as count. So we just need to escape from there and say, album count. So that will say count images, so 0 images or 2 images or 3 images. Let's just preview that before we go on. Okay, so we've got holiday, no images. So this is a hyperlink to viewAlbum.php, which we haven't created yet. Okay, so the next thing is the description. So in here we're going to break away from that string, and we're going to say album description, and then we're just going to add 3 dots afterwards, and that's because we've escaped the we basically shortened that using left here, and we shortened it by to 50 characters in length. We then want to go down and break again, and we want to create 2 links, and the first link is a link to edit the album, and the second link is a link to delete the album. So if you're struggling with this sort of complex line of code, the commas essentially are parameters, if you like, of the echo construct, language construct in PHP. So I'm just displaying this string here, then a variable, then this string here, just in here, then another variable. So think of it like that. You can break it down into lines if you find it more difficult to do on one line. So here I'm going to say edit, and here I'm going to say delete, and that will look like that. So we've got our description in there, and we've also got an edit and a delete button as well. And inside of edit we want this to be edit_album.php, and we obviously want to give reference to the album that we're going to edit. This is all going to come later on when we actually get to this part. So album ID is equal to, again we break away from the string, and we concatenate, if you like. It's not really concatenation, but it's similar. Album ID, and the same with delete as well. Delete_album.php, album ID is equal to breakaway, and we say album ID. So if you have a look in the browser, when we hover over holiday, you can see at the bottom of the screen the link that's come up. At the end of viewAlbum.php, you can see album ID equals 56. Now this corresponds to the value in the database, so we can edit things and view things corresponding to the value in the database, so we can retrieve certain things, again using get variables. The same with edit. If you look at the bottom of the screen now, you can see edit album.php, album ID equals 56, and the same with delete, it's delete album.php, album ID equals 56. So we're passing this variable to all these different pages, and then we can do specific things. So if we want to edit an album, we only edit the album with the ID of 56. If we want to delete an album, we delete the album with the ID of 56, and the same with actually viewing the album as well. So now we've listed the album, what happens when we go ahead and create a new album? Well, because this this function that we've created returns many arrays for however many rows, I guess, were returned from this query, you'll see that when we go ahead and create a new album, let's say holiday 2, more fun, click create, and you can see that we just list another album after that. So however many albums we have, we're always going to have a consistent list of albums that we have on this page. So now that we've actually created a list of albums and allowed the user to view the albums that they have actually created, the last thing we want to do is just add a menu item here, just for aesthetic and functionality reasons. So let's go ahead and open up our widgets folder and open up menu.php, and let's go ahead and after here we'll put a slash and we'll create a new link, and this will just allow us to access it a bit easier later on. So albums, and that just links to albums.php, which is complete. So when we refresh, we've got this albums here, and we can view and create albums now. So the next stage is to manage our albums. So we want the users to be able to edit their albums and also delete their albums. And the main thing here is this security behind it. It's quite straightforward to go ahead and edit the album. We're going to be continuing writing more of the functions that we've defined inside album.func.php. But the main thing we want to look out for is the fact that we can actually modify the URL. If we click on that, for example, we can go ahead and modify this. So I could change this to 59 or 4 or 5, and I could go ahead and actually view someone else's album. I could also delete someone else's album or edit someone else's album. So we need to create functions that check that this specific album belongs to the currently logged in user, and if it doesn't, we can forward them to another page and exit the script, and they won't be able to access that page. So security in the next part is really fundamental to ensure that you don't actually allow other people to delete other people's albums.